Players are shown battling for territorial control within a full-dive VR MMORPG named Destiny Unchained Online, DUO. Within the game DUO, where player versus player skill is crucial, there was a renowned swordsman called the Demon King. Observing a situation, one character urgently tells the others they need to leave. Another agrees, stating they will retreat at once to reunite with their party. An attacker swings a large dark weapon, closing in on the fleeing character. The fleeing character looks back in alarm, exclaiming in disbelief that the attacker is catching up to them. One character curses, realizing they've been found, while another asks if their pursuer is alone. As the attacker charges forward, telling them not to rush in, the character turns to face the attack, shouting not to be underestimated. The character rushes forward with his sword extended towards the opponent, yelling at them not to get carried away. With swift movement, Shing, remeet. The attacker intercepts the charge, surprising the defender. Ha. The defender expresses confusion and disbelief. Eh? Zrania. Wait, I'm... Simultaneously, the attacker's weapon cuts cleanly through, while a quiet SOR is uttered. The defender is taken down. The witnessing character shouts, "Whoa!" logically exclaiming that this is why they warned against fighting someone like the attacker. The attacker stands calmly in the distance. The remaining character sits on the ground thinking, "Shit, this is the worst." He then considers that perhaps he could regroup with his party if he manages to get away. Suddenly, the attacker's weapon pierces the character's shoulder or chest area. He reacts with shock and pain, uttering AH. As the character dissolves, ooh, he has a final thought, identifying his opponent. This is... As the strongest player in PvP, a foot steps down firmly nearby. The scene shifts to a few months ago. A junior high student named Mitsuki Ku stretches energetically. He expresses that he is feeling great today, and thinks that it's always wonderful to play games first thing in the morning. Mitsuki Ko sits on his bed, reflecting that it's okay to play once in a while, especially since some time has passed since he last did. A conflicting thought or external voice points out that even so, he plays too much. His VR headset beeps, signaling game over, and a message begins, addressing Kusama and cautioning about playing VR games for extended periods, to which he internally replies that he knows. With a slightly exasperated expression, Mitsuki Ko speaks, presumably to the AI system. He asks if it doesn't have anything else to do and comments that it is noisy as always, even though it's only an AI. Mitsuki Ko dismisses the concern, telling the AI not to worry. He explains that he has already received a recommendation for a good high school. He adds that regardless, his plan now is just to play games endlessly until the school term begins. A digital clock displays 11:02 a.m. Ku reacts with shock, exclaiming his surprise at the time. The AI points out that it is already 11 o'clock. It then asks Ku if he didn't have an appointment today, questioning if he forgot about it and confirming that the appointment was scheduled for 11 o'clock. Panicking, Mitsuki Ko turns and asks the AI why it didn't inform him about the time sooner. The AI questions his claim, reminding him that he was so engrossed in his game that he had turned off his notifications. Mitsuki Ko states that he needs to hurry, because he is scheduled to playtest a new game today. As he walks away quickly, he reflects that it was actually the previous game's fault for being excessively fun, making him, in a way, a victim. The AI internally expresses concern for Kaosama's future. As Mitsuki Ko exits through the doorway, closing it behind him with a click, the AI sighs and remarks resignedly about him going to play yet another game. From the other side of the door, Ko retorts that this time it's work. The boy is told he's oddly cheerful for someone running late. He shrugs it off, then grins and says it's time to hurry. After all, it's just a game. Mitsuki Ko walks along a street through a futuristic cityscape with flying vehicles overhead. He thinks to himself that the game he's going to test is one that his dad created. Mitsuki Ko stands inside a spacious, modern-looking room. Someone there addresses him, stating that the reason he arrived late was because he was too engrossed in playing VR games. Mitsuki Ko apologizes to his father, Mitsuki Sora, who is identified as DUO's lead programmer and hardware designer. Kao explains he came as quickly as possible. His father acknowledges that having fun is good, but advises Kao to practice moderation. Kao agrees, and assures his father he will be careful. Mitsuki Sora asks Ku if he is staying overnight at the company again, mentioning that Ku brought a change of clothes. He then remembers that Kao also forgot to bring his lunch. Sora apologizes to Kao for making him handle these things. Ku offers an apology in return. While his father works at the computer, remarking that sleeping is boring, Ku observes that Sora looks like he stayed up all night again and suggests he get some proper sleep. Sora changes the subject, stating they should get to the point. He gestures towards the game package, calling it a product he's quite proud of. Kao confirms that he is there to be a playtester for this new game. Two players in the game world look up at a large banner displaying the title Destiny Unchained Online. Text overlays explain that this is a full-dive VR MMORPG and announce that its official server is opening today. As his father looks on, Ku appears thoughtful. A narrative box states that Destiny Unchained Online, DUO, is finally being released after much anticipation. Kao thinks to himself that it feels a bit weird to be playing a game made by his own family. Mitsuki Sora explains to Ku that this is a PvP-focused game where player skill is paramount, asking if Kao is sure he's up for it. Kao replies with absolute enthusiasm, stating he is very pumped. He then confirms that the official service starts soon and declares he will download it as fast as possible, though he adds a hesitant "but." Mitsuki Sora tells Ku that he has developed a brand new gaming device specifically for him. He explains that he intends for Kao to play Destiny Unchained Online using this new hardware. Ku reacts with surprise to this revelation. Mitsuki Sora stands with Ku before a large pod-like machine. Sora explains that its technology is derived from regenerative treatments involving gel capsules and includes a unique human interfacing device. Ku adds that they refer to this machine as the Cradle. Mitsuki Sora asks Ku for his opinion, remarking on how cool the device is. Although Kao internally thinks that it doesn't look like a gaming device, regardless of his father's view, he also thinks with amazement that it accurately emulates all 5 senses and will feel identical to reality. Lying inside the cradle, Mitsuki Kao expresses disbelief, asking if he will really be playing the game in this device, and questioning if it isn't essentially a hardware cheat. His father assures him that it's not that kind of system, so he doesn't need to worry about it. Mitsuki Ku asks his father what he should do once he is in the game. Sora replies, laughing slightly, that it's simple. Meanwhile, lying inside the machine, Ku thinks that if the device is solely for emulating the senses, it feels like overkill. Mitsuki Sora tells Ku to just use the cradle to have as much fun as he can, adding that how Ku chooses to play the game is completely up to him. Sora then points out that Destiny Unchained Online is a PvP game, something Kao is good at, and suggests that Kao should aim to become the strongest player. Ku thoughtfully repeats the idea of becoming the strongest. Mitsuki Sora continues, observing that Ku plays PvP games every day as if possessed, and reminds him of his past declaration to become the world's most feared gamer, jokingly telling Ku to stop discussing his dark history. Ku responds, slightly embarrassed, suggesting that aiming to be the strongest might be a bit challenging. As he sits inside the lower part of the cradle machine, Ku thinks that being inside it is starting to make him concerned. He asks aloud if he is really going to log into the game using this device. His father confirms from off-panel that he will, of course. Mitsuki Sora, seen on a screen, addresses Kao and apologizes for always making him help with work. Ku looks surprised by the sudden statement, then smiles and tells his father not to worry. He explains that he helps because he enjoys it too, and always looks forward to playing his father's games. Mitsuki Sora seems to accept Kao's previous statement, saying that in that case it's fine, before bringing up the topic of Ku's mother. Kao replies that he doesn't really care about her. He elaborates that even if she suddenly appeared, it wouldn't change the fact that he hasn't seen her in years. Continuing his thoughts about his mother, Ku mentions that he wouldn't know how to react. His father then starts to tell him something specific about the game. Mitsuki Sora then reveals to Kao that this particular game is something that both his mom and his dad created together, specifically for him. Ku looks shocked, asking if his mom was also involved, and if the game was really made specifically for him. His father apologizes that Ku's mother was never there for him. He then seems flustered, telling Ku he's exaggerating, but follows up by stating seriously that Destiny Unchained Online is important for Ku. This leaves Kao looking even more surprised. Mitsuki Sora tells Ku that he wants him to have fun with this. He advises that if Ku is ever unsure about what course of action to take, he should just follow his own heart. Ku agrees, saying, "Sure. Okay," Zerani, while adding that he doesn't really understand it all. As the cradle machine closes with a mechanical sound, Mitsuki Sora asks if they should get started now. From inside the closing pod, Ku gives a hesitant yes in response. Sitting inside the cradle, Ku looks thoughtful. He reflects on the idea of aiming to be the strongest player. He also considers that since the device emulates all 5 senses, this will likely be the best game he has ever played. His father works at his computers in the background. As the cradle finishes closing and the game begins to start, Ku wonders what message his parents are trying to convey by having him play this specific game. His father's voice wishes him good luck, addressing him by name. With resolve, Ku thinks that he wants to find out the answer. Upon logging into the game world, Ko is confronted by the sight of a massive, glowing female figure standing behind the Destiny Unchained online title display. He looks up at the figure with a surprised and slightly embarrassed expression. The large, luminous goddess figure addresses Ko's avatar. Ko looks at the figure, identifying its role as an AI guide. Ko interacts with the character creation interface, entering the player name CRIM. His chosen avatar, a character with animal ears called Cream-sama, is shown in a separate view. The character creation process commences, presenting a lineup of different available avatar models beneath the large goddess figure. The goddess guide continues instructing the player during the character creation process, but appears to be interrupted by Ko's surprise off-panel reaction. Ko reacts with concern in the real world upon hearing a notification sound. Inside the game, his avatar observes the character selection models visually glitching and distorting. Ko's avatar reacts with surprise as a system report window pops up. The notification relates to his DNA and indicates the addition of a unique race to the character creation options. Ko's avatar shows visible surprise and excitement upon learning about the newly available unique race option. The unique race option, identified as Noble Red, is presented to Ko. It is displayed as a featureless, unclothed female avatar model with long hair and pointed ears, next to a descriptive text box. Ko's avatar reacts with visible shock and embarrassment upon seeing this model. Ko's avatar looks questioningly between the unclothed Noble Red model and the goddess figure, gesturing towards the model's lack of attire. The goddess figure responds, offering explanations about the unique race's availability. Information about the vampire ancestor Noble Red race is presented. This includes visual depictions of its pure blood and half-blood variants against a moonlit backdrop, alongside text detailing the race's nature, its two variants, typical stat bonuses, strength and magic, and common character builds. Further information regarding the vampire race mechanics is displayed. Text explains the unique skill. Blood magic requires using one's own blood, which must then be replenished by consuming blood from others. This is illustrated by a depiction of a vampire feeding. Ko reacts off-panel to this explanation. Ko's avatar shows a strained and uncomfortable expression, reacting negatively to the implications of the vampire race's feeding requirement explained previously. The goddess figure responds to Ko's concerns. Additional information is presented regarding the strengths and weaknesses inherent to both the pureblood and half-blood variants of the vampire race. Information is presented detailing a major disadvantage of the pureblood variant, a severe vulnerability to sunlight. This weakness is illustrated by a figure disintegrating under bright sunlight, accompanied by explanatory text. Ko's avatar reacts with visible shock and dismay to this information. Information regarding the half-blood vampire variant's lesser sunlight vulnerability is shown, illustrating a reduction in stats rather than rapid health drain. Ko's avatar weighs the options, considering the pureblood's general strength against the practical drawback of its sunlight weakness compared to the half-blood, finally appearing to settle on the half-blood choice to ensure he can play during the day. The goddess figure introduces a game mechanic allowing players to add optional weaknesses to their character. A visual list displays icons representing common legendary vampire weaknesses, like mirrors, photos, fire, religious items, silver, running water, staking, and needing an invitation to enter buildings. Explanatory text indicates these grant bonus-based stats. Ko reacts off-panel with apparent shock to the system. Ko's avatar interacts with the interface, preparing to allocate initial skill points, indicated by a notification sound. He looks intrigued while reflecting on the weakness for stats character creation system. Ko's avatar interacts with the base skill allocation screen, adjusting the points distribution, increasing vitality, mental, and magic, while decreasing strength. He then turns to the patiently waiting goddess figure, appearing to discuss his chosen character build strategy. Ko reviews his finalized character choices on the interface, which lists the half-blood race, along with weaknesses to silver, religious items, and strong weaknesses to fire and light. He attempts to get the attention of the goddess guide, who remains unresponsive with her eyes closed, seemingly asleep or inactive. Ko's avatar looks thoughtful, reflecting on the unique character opportunity presented to him, and the effort he put into the build. He considers the game's immersive nature and the potential unpleasant aspects of his chosen race's mechanics, while also acknowledging the need to start playing promptly, as others are already beginning, showing determination not to lag behind. Ko's avatar pauses, reflecting on his choice. He looks towards the unresponsive goddess figure, considers the vampire race, and acknowledges other options, before settling on his decision based on intuition. Ko's avatar recalls his father's earlier advice, about following his heart when feeling lost. While doing so, he notices a visual anomaly or glitch affecting his father's remembered appearance. Ku's avatar clarifies a game rule regarding avatar gender selection with the goddess figure, who provides confirmation. After receiving the answer, Ku appears pleased and makes his final decision on his character. With a determined and excited expression against a radiant background effect, Ku's avatar finalizes his character selection, system messages confirm the completion of setup, Ku's transfer to the cradle, activation of safety protocols, selection of the noble red race, and the start of the body restructuring process, marked by a sound alert. Following the body restructuring, the avatar, now exhibiting small fangs, begins to experience the game world's environment through the sense of smell. The character takes in the detailed sense of the soil, plants, and flowers, showcasing a feature of the full dive system's sensory simulation within the depicted forest-like area. The newly materialized avatar looks down at their own hands. They observe that their fingernails have become long, sharp, red-tipped claws, examining this physical transformation silently. The avatar, now appearing as a female figure with long hair, is shown sitting amidst large, crumbling ruins. They touch a broken pillar and survey the dilapidated hall, where sunlight streams in, and plants have begun to overgrow. The avatar touches their own throat, displaying a look of surprise upon hearing their voice after the transformation. The avatar, identified as Krim via the user interface elements, shows a reaction of extreme shock and panic. Hands framing her face, she displays clear distress, apparently upon fully realizing her transformed appearance. The avatar reacts with distress and confusion, looking down at her clothes and current physical form. She recalls the featureless female model shown during character creation, apparently realizing that her current appearance matches it and that it was not simply a visual glitch. The avatar continues her panicked and embarrassed reaction to her unexpected female form, covering her chest while remembering the game's rule preventing players from changing their chosen gender. The avatar displays an expression of extreme mental distress and confusion, characterized by spiraling eyes and visible perspiration, reacting to the unwanted and rule-breaking nature of the transformation. The avatar yells out loud in panic and frustration. A communication, identified as from her father, arrives via the Game Master (GM) interface panel. The avatar reacts with indignation towards this incoming message. The avatar communicates through the Game Master interface, complaining about the unexpected gender change. A response, identified as her father's voice, comes through the GM system, referencing equipment trouble and her playtester status. The avatar displays profound shock and disbelief in reaction to a message received via the GM interface, which specifies a mandatory continuous login period of 3 months, even during sleep. The avatar stands facing the Game Master interface icon, appearing to process the implications of the required extended login period in light of upcoming real-life obligations and previous instructions received from her father via the GM system. The avatar reacts with explosive anger and disbelief to the proposed solution received via the Game Master interface regarding her schooling. The avatar, expressing frustration, interacts with the game menu, attempting to select the logout option. The option appears unresponsive, indicated by buzzing sound effects upon the attempt to select it. The avatar reacts with intense anger and frustration upon receiving confirmation via the Game Master interface that her father deliberately disabled the logout function, having anticipated her attempt. The avatar stands and gestures angrily while interacting with the Game Master interface, receiving further communication from her father. She listens to the ongoing explanation with an expression of frustration and disbelief. After receiving a final explanation and encouragement from her father via the Game Master interface, whose face appears on a nearby screen, the avatar sighs and displays reluctant acceptance of the situation. After receiving final instructions via the Game Master interface regarding the tutorial and her initial destination, the avatar walks away. She makes one last appeal concerning her gender, which is immediately denied through the interface. The avatar shows an expression of resignation mixed with annoyance. She directs her attention towards an interface screen, where the option to view the opening cutscene is presented. The game's opening cutscene starts, displaying an unrolling map of the world. Text providing background lore about a historical empire appears alongside the map visuals. The opening cutscene progresses, displaying the emblem of the Empire Magio, surrounded by stylized flames, visually representing the narrated decline of its dominance. The opening cutscene progresses, displaying the emblem of the Empire Magio surrounded by stylized flames, visually representing the narrated decline of its dominance. The cutscene continues, visually depicting scenes of popular uprising against the Empire's rulers, illustrating the outbreak of widespread civil wars across the continent as narrated. The opening cutscene shows the figure of the overthrown emperor slumped on the throne, visually representing the end of the Empire's reign. as narrated text indicates the passage of 30 years. The cutscene displays the map again, now populated with numerous cross-sword icons distributed across its landmasses. This visual represents the narrated emergence of many new countries and the beginning of an era of widespread turmoil and conflict on the continent. The opening cutscene displays a montage of 5 distinct character archetypes, each visually representing different player motivations or available paths within the game world, such as spreading faith, pursuing desires, upholding order, demonstrating power, or coping with loss. The cutscene depicts a desolate battlefield littered with swords stuck in the ground and tattered flags, visually representing the narrated state of perpetual conflict and the cycle of nations' birth and destruction. The opening cutscene concludes with a panning view of a large town situated in a valley below mountains, signifying the game world into which players are descending as the introductory story segment ends. The avatar sits amidst the ruins, appearing contemplative after watching the opening cutscene. She looks at an interface screen displaying an image related to the cutscene while reflecting on the information presented about the game's history. An interface screen summarizes key game mechanics. It displays a large map divided into territories referencing lists of guilds owning land, and mentions a skill-based PvP system, visually outlining the game's core concept of nation-based territory control. A large-scale battle unfolds, illustrating the game's focus on group combat, where guilds engage in warfare against each other to gain control and rule over specific areas of land. The avatar contemplates the game's focus on group, guild versus guild combat, comparing it to her own experience in individual PvP. She considers the attractive prospect of ruling a castle, while also continuing to reflect on the potential underlying message her parents intended for her to discover through playing this game. The avatar assumes a determined and excited pose, pumping her fists, having clearly reached a decision about her goals and plans within the game world. The avatar appears in a forest clearing near some ruins, designated as the starting point. After taking a moment to survey the area, the avatar shows a subtle reaction, seemingly sensing or detecting something nearby. The avatar turns her head, reacting to a sound identified as a scream coming from off-panel. Her expression shifts to one of interest or consideration as she focuses on the direction of the sound. The avatar runs through the spacious and realistic forest terrain. She finds the dense undergrowth makes movement difficult, occasionally slipping or getting caught while navigating the environment. While running, the avatar reacts with surprise as a system notification accompanied by a sound effect appears before her, indicating an increase in her sprint skill. Following the skill level increase, the avatar sprints through the forest at a noticeably faster speed. She displays surprise and exhilaration at the enhanced agility and feeling of lightness in her movement. As the avatar continues moving agilely through the forest, leaping over obstacles, another system notification appears, indicating a further increase in the sprint skill. Explanatory text panels detail the game's skill-based progression system, highlighting that proficiency increases through performing relevant actions, as there is no traditional level system. While moving through the forest, the avatar halts upon discovering a scene in a clearing. A large growling beast looms over a smaller, humanoid figure, creating a dangerous situation which the avatar observes. The large beast lets out an aggressive roar, displaying its fangs and claws as it looms threateningly over the smaller humanoid figure who reacts with terror. The avatar intervenes suddenly, delivering a forceful blow to the large beast, knocking it back and away from the smaller humanoid figure it was menacing. The rescued figure looks up in surprise towards the avatar. The large beast reels back, stunned by the impact of the avatar's blow. The avatar reacts with surprise in the immediate aftermath of her forceful intervention. The avatar approaches the smaller humanoid figure she rescued, checking on their condition after the confrontation with the beast. The rescued figure looks up at the avatar with a surprised and questioning expression. The rescued NPC interacts with the avatar, gesturing and appearing to provide instructions or guidance. The avatar reacts with surprise and slight confusion to the NPC's directions. The large beast recovers quickly and lunges towards the avatar in a surprisingly fast attack. The avatar observes the creature's speed while bracing for the confrontation, as the rescued NPC figure takes cover behind her. The rescued NPC figure calls out frantically towards the avatar with a panicked expression, gesturing and appearing to warn her against engaging the beast in combat. The avatar confidently confronts the large beast, taking a ready stance for combat and appearing prepared to engage the enemy directly, relying on player skill. Reacting quickly to the beast's lunging attack, the avatar dodges skillfully. Using the beast's own body as a leverage point, she vaults agilely over its back, evading the charge while her expression shifts from initial surprise to a focused grin. After landing from the dodge, the avatar attempts a counterattack with a sword against the beast. She reacts with surprise and dismay as the blade fails to pierce the creature's tough hide. Realizing physical attacks are ineffective, the avatar begins gathering dark, swirling energy in her hand, preparing a magic-based attack. The rescued NPC shouts warnings towards her from nearby. The avatar launches the concentrated dark energy previously gathered in her hand. The magic takes the form of a dark-bladed weapon as it flies towards the beast. The avatar confidently wields the newly formed magical shadow weapon. An interface box provides details about the spell, identifying it as Shadow Light Weapon, and explaining its nature as a lightweight weapon created from compressed shadows, with power dependent on the caster's magic ability. The avatar engages in fast-paced movement during the confrontation with the beast, potentially landing after a jump or dodging another attack, while the beast reacts dynamically in the background. The avatar leaps downwards towards the beast, wielding the magical shadow blade and positioning herself to deliver a decisive strike from above. The avatar's descending strike with the shadow blade connects decisively with the beast's head or neck area. A large critical hit notification appears as the blow lands, resulting in an instant kill, illustrating the game's mechanic where decapitation defeats enemies regardless of remaining HP. Following the successful instant kill, the avatar celebrates her victory enthusiastically, striking a joyful and triumphant pose over the defeated beast. A boy falls while carrying a basket and is asked if he's okay. He nervously says yes. A girl lands nearby with force, helps him up, and he awkwardly bumps into her. Watching from afar, another boy comments that she's really strong. The avatar turns her attention back to the rescued NPC figure with a reassuring expression, checking on their well-being after the battle. The NPC looks up at the avatar, appearing somewhat flustered or nervous while responding. Following the rescue and battle, the avatar and the rescued NPC introduce themselves to each other. Immediately following the introductions, the avatar displays visible embarrassment and internal panic, seemingly having a sudden realization related to her transformed state. The NPC looks on with confusion. The avatar and the rescued NPC walk side by side along a path through the forest, engaged in conversation as they move away from the clearing. The avatar and the rescued NPC arrive at the edge of the forest. They stand together looking out towards a bridge and the city visible in the distance beyond the tree line. The avatar stretches leisurely, appearing to consider the recent encounter as the tutorial phase. The nearby NPC reacts with surprise to the avatar's comments. The avatar and the NPC stand together at an overlook, gazing out at the town identified as Navel, the town of Misty Springs, which is nestled in a valley surrounded by mountains. The avatar reacts with shock and confusion upon learning the correct name of the nearby town and realizing her mistake about the location, simultaneously reconsidering the nature of the beast she defeated earlier, which is depicted as potentially insignificant. Small fry. The avatar has an explosive outburst, yelling in anger and frustration with her hands clasped to her head. The nearby NPC recoils, startled by her reaction. This panel marks the end of the chapter. Chapter 2, titled Non-Tutorial Quests, begins. Set 2 hours after starting the game, the scene shows the avatar engaged in mid-air combat, attacking a flying mechanical enemy with a blade. The avatar squares off against a new type of an opponent, a small, fluffy creature garbed in samurai-like attire and wielding a tiny sword. The avatar swiftly maneuvers, attacking several small, flying moth-like creatures with her Shadow Blade ability. She then confronts the larger beast again, while information regarding targeting vital organs is displayed. The avatar executes the Divine Might combat skill, lunging forward rapidly towards her target. An interface box describes the skill as a rush-type ability designed to instantly close the distance to an enemy. The avatar leaps away from the large beast, which visibly disintegrates, indicating its defeat. The creature's status bar displays Destroy, confirming the successful instant kill achieved by targeting a vital area. The avatar stands confidently near the vanquished beast, appearing satisfied with the outcome of the battle. Following the successful combat encounter, the avatar reflects with a slight, thoughtful smile, appearing to consider the strategic implications of the instant kill mechanic she utilized. The rescued NPC, George, stands holding a basket filled with collected items, expressing gratitude towards the avatar, Krim. He indicates that her assistance allowed him to safely gather necessary medicine ingredients. Krim listens to his words. The avatar walks towards the town of Navel with a distressed expression, having realized she began in the incorrect starting location. Along the path near a stream, the NPC George interacts with her. While traveling together, the avatar assists the NPC, George, as he wades into a shallow stream to search for ingredients. The avatar watches thoughtfully from the bank. A visual links the earlier rescue of George and the subsequent beast fight with the current ingredient collection task, framing them as connected phases of a standard quest rather than isolated tutorial events. The avatar looks around the environment, appearing thoughtful or perhaps slightly concerned as she considers her current situation and the apparent absence of other players. The avatar's expression shifts to one of optimism and pragmatism, appearing to decide on a positive outlook regarding her current situation and task. The avatar examines an interface screen, displaying details of a chain quest related to the boy. She holds another item or screen while appearing to consider the potential difficulty of progressing or grinding in her current non-starting area location. The avatar observes the NPC, George, as he continues searching in the stream. Her expression is thoughtful, possibly indicating skepticism about the simplicity of the current quest task. The avatar displays a thoughtful and analytical expression, appearing to ponder the reasons behind George's presence deep in the forest and the overall backstory of the quest she is involved in. The avatar turns to the NPC, George, engaging him in conversation and posing questions about his reasons for collecting materials alone in the potentially dangerous forest. George reacts thoughtfully to her inquiries. The NPC, George, explains his background to the avatar, indicating his connection to an apothecary and his proficiency in gathering materials, while the avatar listens attentively. The avatar playfully interacts with the NPC, George, putting her arm around his shoulder in a teasing manner. George reacts with visible embarrassment and fluster to her approach. The avatar offers advice to the NPC, George, concerning the dangers of the forest. George looks down towards the ground, his expression turning somber or reluctant in response to her words. The NPC, George, further explains his circumstances regarding the collection of materials, expressing gratitude once more to the avatar for her assistance in gathering a good amount. They then conclude their search by the stream and prepare to continue towards the town of Naval. As they continue walking along the path, the avatar follows behind the NPC, George, with a thoughtful expression, appearing to contemplate the nature and potential significance of the quest she's currently engaged in. Having decided to stay temporarily in Naval before heading to Wyndham, the avatar continues walking with the NPC, George, along the path towards the town. The NPC appears relieved as they near their destination. Standing in the bright sunlight after emerging from the forest, the avatar suddenly appears unwell, showing signs of dizziness and discomfort, likely experiencing her sunlight weakness. The nearby NPC, George, looks towards her with concern. The avatar visibly suffers the negative effects of exposure to sunlight, looking weak, sweating profusely, and showing clear discomfort due to her weak sunlight vulnerability trait. The avatar considers the lingering unpleasant sensations caused by the sunlight, even though it's not strong enough to cause a stat penalty. Nearby, the NPC, George, suggests they walk in the shade and confirms his offer of lodging at his home, prompting a relieved expression from the avatar. An exterior view shows a house belonging to George and his family, identified earlier as an apothecary. An angry voice can be heard, shouting from within the building. Inside the house, an adult male stands over George, scolding him angrily. George cowers on the floor in response, while the avatar observes the interaction from the background. After concluding his scolding of George, the adult male turns towards the avatar with an exasperated look, offering an apology. The avatar appears slightly flustered or uncertain in response. The avatar listens as the offer of lodging is confirmed, her expression thoughtful as she observes the interaction with the NPC's father. Inside the apothecary, the adult male introduces himself as Ludger, gesturing around the shop to indicate his profession. The avatar sits nearby, observing the shop's interior. The avatar introduces herself again to George and Ludger. Both George and his father display confused expressions in reaction to her self-introduction, seemingly due to her choice of phrasing. The avatar becomes visibly flustered following her self-introduction, appearing to realize a verbal mistake and attempting to awkwardly cover it up or correct herself. The NPC. George observes her reaction with continued confusion. Ludger playfully ruffles George's hair while teasing him about being rescued by the avatar. George reacts with visible embarrassment to his father's comments. The avatar displays a surprised and modestly uncertain reaction, possibly responding to Ludger's earlier comment, while George observes nearby. The avatar appears thoughtful, possibly considering her own appearance which she hasn't seen yet, while Ludger and George react with surprise or amusement in the background. The avatar continues to contemplate her transformation, considering the possibility that only her body changed due to a glitch, while potentially retaining different facial features, visualized briefly. The avatar touches her face, her expression showing relief regarding its features. Nearby, Ludger directs teasing remarks towards George, who reacts with strong embarrassment and denial. George runs off quickly towards another area of the house, seemingly eager to prepare the spare room. Ludger watches him depart with an amused or thoughtful expression, while the avatar also observes the scene. Ludger directs his attention towards the avatar, appearing to initiate a private conversation. The avatar looks towards him, ready to listen. A character lies in bed, seemingly unwell. Another character states that she has been weak for a long time and the medicine they have doesn't help. A second character asks if she is their sick daughter, and the first character confirms this. A character runs into the woods. It is mentioned that he is sneaking off to look for medicine ingredients. Another character thinks about this kid, George. A character explains that George was in the dangerous forest. Another character apologizes, saying the room might be a little smelly, and tells someone to make themselves at home. A third character says that no matter how many times he scolds George, he won't listen. He asks someone to make sure George doesn't do anything crazy. The second character replies that they understand. A character sits at a table in a room. Another character thinks about a sick daughter, George's sister. A third character thinks that in the meantime, they will take a look around town. A character tells Juna to be patient and wonders, Another character thinks that after all that, they should actually help clean up and wonders where the spare room is. A character tells someone they can go when they are feeling better. Another character tells someone lying in bed that they are supposed to be sleeping. The person in bed replies that they want to play outside. A character says while someone in bed coughs. Another character tells the person in bed that they will definitely get better and to get some rest. The first character adds that they are gathering medicine ingredients little by little. A child calls out Krimne-chan from a doorway. A character thinks that someone is really sick. A child asks if someone saw that just now and says their sister Juna is always like that. The child then asks if the other person heard from their father. The other person replies, yes. A character thinks there is no time left. Another character thinks about getting worn out day by day. A child tells someone they are not going to let them stop them. The other person says, but Krimne-chan. In the next panel, the second person says they don't know what their father said. A character says they are sorry to Ludger-san, but another character says George. A third character says they won't stop the other person. The first character wonders, eh? A child looks happy and says, yes, it's a promise. Another character smiles and says, let's do our best to collect all of the materials together. The text at the bottom indicates Chapter 2 end. As birds chirp outside, the girl wakes up groggily, drooling and yawning as she stumbles out of bed. Today starts the 4th day, she mutters while dragging herself through the room, that I've been trapped inside this game by my father. A child leaning out of a window told another character to go collect materials for the medicine. The child also told the other character not to do that weird dance. The other character greeted the child, calling him George. In the next panel, a character greeted another, calling her Krimne-chan. A character wondered if something was true, saying it was vampirically. Another character, stretching, noted that someone got up early. A third character said they were going. In the lower panel, a child smiled and said that something would seriously help. He held up a robe and said he prepared it. He then asked if another character didn't like sunlight. The other character replied, oh yeah. A character told George to go hide. Another character thought that someone was getting in the way of their collecting. A character told someone to be careful and not get dragged into the water. Another character observed that it was an aquatic reptile monster type. The second character thought it was a disadvantage to fight in the river with bad footing. A hissing sound effect was present. A character exclaimed, whoa, as another character fell. The second character thought that something was fast. A third character thought, in that case. A hissing sound effect was present. A character yelled, come on, be quiet, while stabbing a creature. Another character exclaimed, with this. The sound effect stab was present. A character yelled. Another character thought that something wouldn't hit them, and that it was such an obvious tail attack, deciding to evade. The sound effect evade was present. A character stepped on a branch which broke with a step sound effect, causing them to fall into the water. Another character landed on a creature's head, which made a paki sound. The creature made a gihi sound. A character thought that something was enjoyable. Another character noticed that materials in the water area were monster drops and exclaimed, oh. A ding sound effect indicated something was acquired. Ask Vessel X2. A beep sound effect was present along with no, now. A child told someone to wait a minute and that they would check them, asking, really? The other character stated that they found another material. A character thought they could learn new skills, but wondered if they would remember to use them. Another character noted that their skill proficiency had increased considerably. A beep sound effect was present. A character thought that some things were simple and looked like they would have plenty of utility at least. The panel displayed information about game skills. One that breaks the opponent's balance called Snare, and another that is a low power. long-range attack called Dark Bullet. A character thought that if they were right, this magic. The panel displayed a list of magic skills. Shadow Magic's Shadow Light Weapon and Snare. Dark Magic's Dark Bullet. And Blood Magic's Blaze Blood. The character then thought they already had enough firepower and decided to go with those two then. The image shows a featureless female avatar. Text indicates that it is Noble Red Magic, and that it greatly increases stats for a short period of time. A character thought that something was too risky to use, even if it sounded interesting. Text also indicated that the user would be basically incapacitated when the effect ended. In the lower left panel, a character wondered if something was meant to be completed by a party, noting that 4 days had passed, and the quest was still not over, adding that they had been thinking. In the lower right panel, the first character thought that they didn't have any big enemies, so they didn't need it right now. A character looked surprised and said, "Huh?" Another character said they wanted to form a party with someone, or so they'd say, asking someone to please come there at their convenience. A text box indicated that someone still hadn't met any other players. Another text box stated that, come to think of it, it had been 4 days since Duo launched. Text on the panel stated that 3 days after launch, hardcore top players would have usually finished most of the available areas. Another text box commented that VR MMO players are a curious group of people. The image depicted various player characters moving across a map. A character thought that something was far wider than they ever could have imagined. Another character thought that maybe in this world, Duo, something really was the case. The panel showed a vast rocky landscape and 2 small figures in the distance. A character said, "Nah, it's nothing," when asked, Another character asked what was wrong and why the first character was looking at the sky. Below, a character looked up and thought, Another panel showed a character thinking that they had reached the point where they only needed 1 more material, noting at this rate. In the final panel, a character observed that it just looked like it was about to rain and suggested going home already. Another character agreed. A child said, yes, and that someone was weaker than before, asking if Juna's condition had gotten worse. Below, a character exclaimed, "What?" Another character stated that they just needed 1 more to have all the medicine ingredients. A third character replied, "No way." A character told George that they were going to look for it right now. George replied, "Yes." In the next panel, another character asked if they had gone out collecting again. Shocked, the girl exclaims, "You can't," as her father reveals his plan. "I have an idea of what the last material is," he says. Her friend yells, "What are you saying, Dad?" The man continues, "You're going to the Black Forest, aren't you? A place feared by all." A character wondered if someone was that strong, saying, that lord. Another character told George that he knew it too, referring to something as the home of the Lord of the Forest. Text described a giant bear monster that reigns at the top of the food chain, the one that lurks in the Black Forest. Below, a character stated that many people had been killed so far. Another character added that it was terribly ferocious and unpredictable. The image showed a large, shadowy bear-like figure in a mountainous landscape. A character thought that, in other words, this Black Forest Lord was going somewhere. Another character stated that getting close to that bear was a kind of disaster and just suicide. A third character interjected with, "But." The image depicted several heavily armored figures. Text identified one as a raid boss, and described it as something you need to form a party for the defeat. A character thought about Crimnachan. Text stated that it was not an opponent to fight solo. Below, a character told someone that they were so strong. Another character wondered what Nichan thought, asking if they could win, and reminding them of who they were. A character said, no. Another character thought that they didn't think they could win. As George turns away, his expression heavy, he quietly says, "No, it's fine." Clenching his fist, he adds, "You did say it's impossible. Sorry." The other boy, stunned by his words, gasps, "That's..." A character lying in bed thought that no other players had arrived yet, and that there was no one else in this town other than them. They wondered what they should do. Another character lying in bed thought that if they somehow didn't form a party. A character lying in bed exclaimed, "No, it's definitely the forest." Another character replied that it was not confirmed yet, Ludger. Below, text indicated commotion and asked if the men were angry, noting that there was even a guy who saw someone heading to the forest. In the final panel, a character looked through a crack in a wooden structure and wondered, What is it? A crowd of people were gathered, some holding farm tools. One person addressed someone as Ludgar-san and asked what the ruckus was about. Another person addressed someone as Miss and started to explain, "The thing is..." The sound of step step was present. In the top panel, someone noticed that the harvesting tools were gone and thought that perhaps George went to get the medicine material. In the bottom panel, a character exclaimed that someone had gone deep into the Black Forest. A character yelled, "Wait!" Another character thought they had to hurry and save someone. The sound effect grab and quick were present. A character said, "But..." Another character stated that it was dangerous to go there alone and asked how many people the monster had killed so far. A character thought that they had to hurry, or George. Another character stated that it was not an opponent you could beat by yourself, and someone else agreed, saying, "You said it." In the lower panel, a character exclaimed that they knew what the other person meant. A character said, "I know what you're saying." The image also showed the character's hand gripping another person's hand. A speech bubble said, "George." Another speech bubble said, "I'm not going to stop you." In the next panel, a character thought, "At times like this, A smiling child said, "Let's do our best." Another smiling character said, "We'll collect the materials together." A character thought that they kept progressing the quest and that all this happened because of something. In the lower left panel, someone called out, "Hey, miss," with a startled sound effect. In the lower right panel, a character thought that if that was why, they had to finish what they started. A character thought that the last ingredient needed for the medicine was in a cave, hidden deep inside the forest. Below, the character looked at a map with an event marker, and thought that if they followed it, it would lead them straight there. A character thought they had to hurry and asked George to please be safe. In the next panel, the character observed, "That's the cave," and then exclaimed, "Found it." Text in the image explained that by using a new technology to simulate the structures of the human brain, NPCs are able to respond naturally to players and other NPCs, and that all NPCs are controlled by an advanced AI. A young character was shown smiling in front of a background of circuit board patterns and a stylized atom. The image described a game mechanic where, based on the surrounding environmental information, when a player suddenly encounters an auto-generated quest, more NPCs and quest lines are generated. The top panel depicted a family of NPCs in a stylized environment, while the bottom panel showed a crowd of various NPCs in a town setting. The image describes characteristics of NPCs in a game. Text states that they feel sad when someone dies, and also if they get hurt, they feel pain. Furthermore, their actions can change if players interfere. In the bottom panel, it is mentioned that they disappear if they die. The image shows a lone NPC standing in a simple, rural environment. A character thought, "Nevertheless, and then replied, "If you say that is just an NPC, then yes." In the next panel, text explained that even if they die, a quest would autocorrect, and the player would still be able to reach the raid boss with another objective. The image showed a character running towards a cave entrance with a splash sound effect nearby. A smiling child said, "Yeah, it's a promise." In the top panel, a character looked distressed with their mouth open. In the lower left panel, a character was running into a dark, icy cave. In the lower right panel, the first character yelled, "Georgie." A character exclaimed, "This is..." Another character was shown jumping. In the lower panel, a character thought, "The boss arena," as they fell into a large cavernous area. In the first panel, someone exclaimed, "There he is. Over there." The panel showed a small figure sitting amongst icy rock formations. The next panel showed a similar scene with a small, dark figure. In the final panel, a character looked determined and thought, "Beyond this..." The sound of wind or rushing air was indicated by stylized lines. In the top left panel, a character exclaimed, "Krim Nechan." In the top right panel, another character called out, "George." The sound effect land was present. In the bottom left panel, a character yelled, "No, hide." In the bottom right panel, a character said, "Let's get out of here quickly, and I'm glad you're safe." In the top left panel, a figure stood in a snowy, rocky landscape, and a speech bubble said, "Calm." In the bottom left panel, the same landscape was shown from a different angle. In the right panel, a character looked surprised and said, "Eh." The image appears to be a panel from the manga Destiny Unchained Online. It shows a close-up of a large, monstrous creature with sharp teeth and claws, looming over a frightened character with pointed ears and a worried expression. The background depicts a rocky, possibly icy environment. The image is a panel from the manga Destiny Unchained Online. It depicts a large, fearsome monster with icy spikes and sharp teeth roaring aggressively. A smaller figure, presumably a character from the manga, is visible in the lower left corner, seemingly facing the creature. The setting appears to be a cavernous, icy environment. The image shows a scene from a manga, likely depicting a video game interface. In the top left panel, a character thinks, "I have no choice but to fight." The top right panel displays a health bar labeled HP with 4 filled squares and a longer bar labeled BOSS, strongest monster. The sound effects beep 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 are also present. The bottom panel shows a notification that reads Battle Start and Strongest Monster Subjugation, with decorative brackets and a monster silhouette. A dramatic battle scene shows a small, agile character facing a huge, roaring monster. The text highlights the creature's strength. It's not an opponent who can be beaten on the 3rd chapter. The art emphasizes intensity and scale.